Okay, again, welcome everybody. Welcome to CCMA's webinar, ESTEEM, Leadership Development for the Next Generation, presented by Katie Diller, campus minister at St. John Catholic Student Center, Michigan State University, and the national coordinator of ESTEEM. Welcome, Katie, and we'll turn the programming over to you.
Thank you so much, Deacon Frank, and good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. I'm very excited to share with you all the details of the ESTEEM program. So the ESTEEM program is a leadership program, of course, sponsored by the National Leadership Roundtable on Church Management, which is an organization of laity, religious, and clergy working together to promote excellence and best practices in the management, finances, and human resource development of the Catholic Church in the U.S. through the greater incorporation of the expertise of the laity. So they really are focused on greater incorporation of laity in responding to the temporal challenges that our church faces. Our other sponsoring partner is St. Thomas More Catholic Chapel at Yale. They serve the Catholic community at Yale University like many of our student centers serve, through creating a vibrant and welcoming community through worship and service, cultivating informed faith and spirituality, engaging in reflective discourse on faith and culture, and advancing the Church's mission of promoting social justice while participating in the global Church's life and witness. And a part of St. Thomas More's sponsorship of the ESTEEM program nationwide is to exercise that fifth objective in their mission of participating in the global Church's life and witness through sponsoring a program like this for leadership development at Catholic campuses across the country. As we know, the blessing of campus ministry is that we have many, many dedicated young adults that are wildly talented and learning more and more every day through their academic careers. And they serve in active leadership throughout our campus ministries and retreat teams, leading service projects, serving as club presidents and treasurers. They mentor younger students, they serve as peer ministers, and they even engage in political advocacy and demonstrations such as the March for Life or the Ignatian Teach-In. Our students have so many gifts and so many talents, and we as campus ministers are blessed to see that every day. Unfortunately, after graduation, young adults often disappear into parishes where all of these roles are already filled. Since there is no call for them to use their gifts in service of their parishes, in service of their dioceses, their gifts often get set aside until they've married or raised families and they've sort of achieved that maturity that we often see on parish councils of 50, 60-year-olds who are pillars of the community and giving back in a beautiful way. But unfortunately, we lose out on a lot of those gifts and charisms of the young people. Not many parishes and dioceses actively recruit lay young adults to sit on parish councils or parish finance councils, diocesan or nonprofit advisory boards, but we know as campus ministers that these young people certainly have those gifts. ESTEEM seeks to train these young leaders to confidently offer their gifts to meet these needs, and therefore keep the gifts and charisms of these young lay men and women in circulation. So how do we do it? ESTEEM is a groundbreaking national program created to develop the leadership abilities of Catholic young adults. We engage students through retreats, workshops, seminars, and field work to develop those leadership skills. We forge powerful mentor relationships between participants and professionals, giving their life in inspirational witness to the Church. ESTEEM develops the next generation of Catholic leaders, and ESTEEM is the Church's future right now. Our program is multifaceted, including opening with a retreat that really focuses on the beginnings of merging those students together into a community, and also developing who their identity is as a young leader. We try to tackle issues of human identity through Scripture at the very beginning of the retreat. And some of the Scripture verses that we study are Genesis 1:27, where God makes mankind male and female in his image and likeness. We study and share on Psalm 139, certain verses in the book of Revelation. We look at all of salvation history and what that says about our identity as human beings made in God's image, made, called, and blessed for that journey. We allow the students, and this is a really beautiful experience, to share their personal path to discipleship through this opening retreat. We encourage them to share their faith stories, the highs and the lows, the catalysts, whether they're events or people that have inspired them to be dedicated young disciples. We also, and every site does this differently. We have about 12 sites across the country, and every site uses a slightly different system for identifying leadership gifts. Some sites use the Strength Finder book that I'm sure many of you are familiar with. Others use the Keirsey Temperament Sorter, Myers-Briggs, the Called and Gifted Spiritual Gift Inventory. One way or the other, we use some sort of a leadership gift assessment or temperament assessment to help the students see themselves in a new light, see those leadership gifts in a new light. We do share what it means to be rooted in baptism as lay men and women, as the laity who are called to be priestly, prophetic, and servant leaders in the kingly fashion or the queenly fashion. And often our sites will end with a mass with the entire community, their entire parish or their campus ministry center, and receive a blessing and a sending at the beginning of that year. The ESTEEM program is a one-year program. Some students have sort of retaken the program and done it more than once, but it really is a program aiming to launch upperclassmen into lay life and lay professional careers while still encouraging them, really exhorting them to serve in the church. After the opening retreat, which is very similar for all sites across the nation, we engage in a 14-session curriculum that spread throughout the semester schedule and the academic year basically means that we meet twice a month or about every 2 weeks on the semester schedule. These 14 catechetical sessions include topics such as ecclesiology, Catholic social teaching, liturgical faith, Christian spirituality, different models of leadership, especially scriptural models of leadership, or the models of leadership that we find in our saints. We talk about church governance, the state of the church, what's going on in our national church in particular, what's going on in our global church, what are some issues that we want to be aware of as young leaders. How do we connect to the local Catholic community? For a lot of young people, they grew up in a parish, they came to college, and there was a campus ministry center or campus ministry parish right there waiting to recruit them and get them involved. But how do we teach them to find their own Catholic community once they've graduated, once they've gone on and really followed their career to a new location or their graduate school? How do they find that Catholic community where they will thrive? And then also we talk about what it means to be a Catholic leader in society. One thing that we really highlight through our curriculum is encouraging students to ask sharp questions, really engage the material in an open but respectful dialogue. We encourage students who struggle with particular church teachings to share their thinking so that their frustrations or misinformation won't be an obstacle to their continued commitment to the church. We champion engagement of the intellect. This is really a program that focuses on the small group, roughly 10 to 15 people in every cohort, so that you can engage dialogue and discussion over top-down teaching scenarios. We do, of course, have lecture portions or guest speakers, but more than anything, we want to encourage these young adults to engage the material and challenge. That's really a gift of the ESTEEM program. We encourage sites that have the ESTEEM program to invite local or regional leaders, particularly theologians that might be at a local seminary or Catholic university, Catholic lobbyists. One thing that we do at Michigan State is take a field trip to the Michigan Catholic Conference, which is our ecclesial region's unified Catholic lobbying body. The 6 bishops of Michigan have a lobbying body that lobbies our state legislature and our national government. So having the students visit that, which is something that most Catholics don't even know exists, is a great opportunity for them to learn how the church is involved and engaged in issues beyond sort of the obvious. It was Michigan Catholic Conference took a stand on what the dropout age could be. And you might think, well, what does that have to do with Catholic teaching? Well, the longer you stay in school, especially as a teen, the better your chances of a successful life are. So the Michigan Catholic Conference took a stand with our bishops on that issue. It's not a usual Catholic issue, but it is something that it's important for our students to know that we as church do. We've invited, other sites have invited their local bishop. Our local bishop will be joining us in February to talk about church governance, canon lawyers, so that students have a sense of what canon law has to do with the laity. What does it mean? What does it mean for them? What does it mean for their church? So it's a great opportunity to engage those local and regional leaders in church, not only to give their professional perspective on various aspects of our curriculum and our church teaching, but also to broaden students' understanding of church as beyond their campus ministry center or beyond their parish, but really regional and national and even global. Our curriculum has been really a championed aspect of the program, winning CCMA's Best Practices Award, which is something we're very proud of. We're proud of our connection to CCMA in that way. And the curriculum that's offered to the various sites really comes as an outline. It's not a word for word or a video type series. We do hope and expect that the expertise that's found in the campus ministers at each of our sites is engaged through this curriculum. The curriculum really is an outline to direct a conversation, but not control conversation. Another aspect of the program is that the students really love, and it's something that the students will often come forward hoping to join the ESTEEM program because of the mentoring aspect. Our mentoring program matches students to experienced Catholics who share their career interests. So for example, if you have a pre-law student or a pre-medical student, we try to find someone in the local Catholic community, the local parish, that is a lawyer or a doctor or a teacher or whatever it is that the student happens to be pursuing. We invite those students and their mentors to meet periodically to talk about placing the particular gifts and talents of that field in service to the church and world. So how can a lawyer serve the diocese? How can the lawyer serve his local parish? What are the particular skills that lay person has that can be a real gift to the local community? This has been a great experience for students nationwide. It opens doors to deep spiritual friendships. I remember one young man would get a call from his mentor every Friday. His mentor had a long commute, so every Friday his mentor would call him, check in with him, see if he'd been going to church, see what his prayer life was like, share any spiritual thoughts that they had had through the week. And it was really just a great way to connect. And at one point I asked him, are you comfortable with this? Is this too much? And he said, no, this is the first time someone outside of my parents has ever cared about my own spiritual development. For some, it's quite simple, focused on career aspects only. Others find great opportunities to share, for example, between professional women and young women entering their careers, beginning to think about what it's going to be like to balance parenthood or marriage with career and family goals. The mentoring opportunity has opened up opportunities for students to get internships in their fields, to serve on church committees with their mentors. They've received invitations to serve on parish and diocesan councils and boards, and certainly received letters of recommendation and even offers of employment or support for their graduate career through these mentoring relationships. Even beyond that, simply for the good of your community or the good of your parish, it offers a great way to connect upperclassmen between permanent or local Catholic communities and parishes to the student body, which can sometimes become disconnected. Let's take a moment and pause and see if we have any questions so far particularly based on the retreat, the curriculum, and the mentoring aspect.
Okay, so if anybody does have a question for Katie, just simply click on your hand next to the top panel, the dashboard or control panel, and we'll see the hand and we'll open up your microphone. Okay, doing a great job, Katie. Nobody has any questions at this point, so why don't we move on?
All right, awesome. So the final aspect of our program is the Capstone Conference, which really is a convening of all sites from across the nation. We've partnered with Yale University's St. Thomas More Center for the first 3 years of the program, and last year and this coming year, we'll be partnering with an exceptional parish for young adult ministry, which is St. Clement's in Chicago. St. Clement's in Chicago has a phenomenal Theology on Tap program, well-developed outreach to recent college grads, and it's the kind of program, parish program, that we really want to champion and show as a best practice in parish ministry. So some of the things we do at the Capstone Conference, we gather the students sometimes by career path, sometimes we gather the students by age level, getting the grad students in one group, the undergrads in another. The majority of the students in the program really are undergrad upperclassmen. Last year, one of the most popular experiences of the Capstone Conference was a mock parish council. And we challenged the students to engage real complicated issues that parish councils have to face across the country, the sort of headline type issues that would surprise a parish council, or even the mundane stuff that parish council members have to deal with, month to month. An example was trying to figure out how to well steward the finances of a parish. As young adults, obviously young adult programming is important, but what would you do if you had to balance, a limited budget with the desire to increase certain programs, the desire to meet Pope Francis's call to serve the poor in a new way in the parish? How do young adults choose where the finances of a parish might go? Another example was kind of a rip from the headlines type thing. We gave the example of a local school teacher or principal who may have been fired because of a relationship that wasn't in keeping with church teaching. What would a parish council do, especially perhaps with a high school youth group that's frustrated and angry because someone was fired that they cared about very much? What do you do with a parish that's upset that someone was fired, and all of the many issues that go along with that? How do you respond? How do lay people on a parish council respond to a clergy shortage? These types of debates and discussions we had in our mock parish councils, and the students really enjoyed that. We've had a young adult panel every year from recent grads from the ESTEEM program, and they've talked about finding a parish, what it's like when you leave your small Catholic community perhaps, and you get dropped into New York City or dropped into Chicago. How do you find a parish that feeds you, but how do you also contribute to a parish that maybe needs the gifts and talents of the young adult to start new initiatives? We have the opportunity, of course, for community prayer and worship at the National Capstone Conference. We talk about models of leadership. And we've had some great young adult speakers like Matt Weber, author of Fearing the Stigmata. It really is a beautiful experience for students across the country who've participated in the exact same curriculum, of course with slight variations based on different presenters. But for these students to come together and share their thoughts and experiences is really a great gift to the community. Excuse me. I need to figure out how to mute when I cough. Are there any questions at this time, now that we've gone through the various aspects of the program? All right. So moving on.
I'm sorry, Katie. Sorry.
Different sites recruit different.
Katie.
Yes.
So sorry. We do have a question,
Yes.
so I'm going to open up to Krista.
Oh,
Hi, Krista. If you have a question.
excellent.
Hi, Katie. My question is, I've been seeing your the pictures and things that you have in the presentation here, and when you were talking about the opening retreat, where do those students who attend come from? Are they all from one campus, or do they come from campuses all across the country?
Sure. Thanks for the question. I'll switch ahead to the partner campuses. So this slide represents our current 11 active partner campuses. We have a couple campuses that are taking a year break due to different issues in their particular areas. But we have 11 active campuses right now. We have cohorts from the University of Dayton, Stanford University, Purdue University, Texas Tech. I'm here at Michigan State. We have a cohort at Washington University at St. Louis, Ohio State, Robert Morris University. This one's hiding. UMass Dartmouth, of course, with Deacon Frank, UCLA, and our partner at Yale University. So those are the partner campuses that we work with, and we tend to work with either the parishes or the campus ministry centers. Dayton is a Catholic university, so we work with the campus ministry for the university to offer this program. Thanks for the question.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Okay. Anybody else? Just put. Okay.
All right. So who do we recruit? Who is recruited at all of these wonderful universities that we partner with? Different sites use the program differently. An example is that, for example, Michigan State chooses only seniors. So I have a cohort of 15 seniors that are going to graduate in May. They're ready to transition into professional life. They've been serving as student leaders in their parishes, even interns in the parish for the past year or so as sophomores, juniors, seniors. They've been involved for 4 years. And they are ready to go on to something new, whether it be medical school, grad school, or professional life. So they really are transitioning out of the kind of campus ministry where we minister to them, we seek them out, we recruit them, to the kind of lay life where they themselves have to seek out their parishes. Another example is something that I've done here at Michigan State, is to seek out the fringe upperclassmen. These are upperclassmen who may have attended one retreat, their junior year, but we kind of haven't seen them other than mass since. We seek the kind of students who show a lot of potential for leadership, but don't come forward to serve on in any way in campus ministry. For example, students who might have been on an alternative spring break trip and really thrived, and everyone noticed how great they were, but they didn't sign up to be an ASB leader the next year. They didn't sign up to be a retreat team leader. They've got the potential, but they just haven't been really pushed to utilize those gifts that the campus ministry community can see in them. So I kind of call them the fringe upperclassmen. Other sites like Purdue or Ohio State use their student leader teams as their ESTEEM cohorts. So the students who make up the retreat teams or the peer ministry cohort, they might put those upperclassmen leaders through the ESTEEM program to help further their leadership gifts. And finally, there are universities such as Stanford University that just opens it up to anyone interested, freshman through senior. That way, if there's a student interested in developing leadership skills, they don't necessarily have to wait. Every site feels, that their way of recruiting is the best for their particular university needs, and that's really a part of the STEAM program that we hold up, is the dynamism of the program. It's dynamic enough to use in whatever way you see fit at your campus ministry site. So as I mentioned, we have these wonderful partner campuses, and every site runs slightly differently, but we all share the core curriculum and the core opening retreat, the mentoring experiences, and of course the great joy of coming together every year at the Capstone Conference. One thing I would share about that, as a campus minister is that it's a lot of fun to have this kind of smaller network of phenomenal campus ministry leaders from some great schools who are able to share ideas, who are able to challenge one another, share resources. There's been some great resource sharing, even knowledge of local or regional training camps for student leaders that were shared campus minister to campus minister through this ESTEEM network. Really a great network of phenomenal, talented campus ministers that I think, as much as your students will get out of the program, the campus ministry staff gets a lot out of this network. So those are the partner campuses. And simply to answer the question that I'm sure many of you have, how can you partner with ESTEEM? First of all, I'm the national coordinator, and I encourage any of you who are interested in hosting the program at your campus to contact me through esteem@theleadershiproundtable.org. There is a formal application process and a review by the executive committee. We don't mean for that to be scary, but we do like to make sure that our sites have all the resources that they need to host the program in a really high quality way. We have developed a small fee for use of the curriculum. It's comparable to many other programs like Renew or Just Faith. It is a nominal fee, but it does help us continue to develop new resources, maintain the website, put on the capstone conference and whatnot. The capstone conference at this time is free for all the sites, which is a big difference from many other national program conferences. There's usually site fees of over $100 to even $500. We do ask the sites to provide their own hotels, while they're at the conference, but we do assist at this time with some of the transportation costs, and particularly the organization of transportation for regional sites. We have a big bus that comes through the Midwest and picks up everybody in Ohio and in Indiana on their way up to Chicago. So those are ways that you can partner with ESTEEM. We certainly encourage you to reach out. It is a phenomenal program for leadership development, different than anything else that's offered nationwide. And we thank you for your time and invite any questions now here at the end of the webinar.
Okay, Katie, thank you very much. We'll open it up now for questions. I'm sure we must have some. And if you just raise your hand if you could, or if you prefer not to speak, you don't like speaking online, feel free to write your question and I'll be glad to read it for Katie. So do we have any questions? We do have a question from Mary. Mary, go ahead and ask your question.
Thank you. Thanks so much, Katie, for your presentation. Just as a point of clarification, what did you say, like an ESTEEM group on each campus? How many is that? That's my first question. And while I have my hand up, my second question is, with your mentoring program, how do you recruit your mentors?
Thank you for your questions. Those are great questions. First of all, most cohorts are between, I think the smallest have been about 6 or 8, which is still a nice small group size for that kind of discussion that we really encourage from our sites. But usually the sites that have developed the program after a few years, particularly those sites who have been in for the last 5 years since the ESTEEM program's inception, we're up to about 15. 15 is about as many, and I'm sure you would agree, that you can have in a campus ministry group and really allow sharing and friendship and community development to happen. You get about 15 and it's almost worth splitting into multiple cohorts. At this time, I think 15, 18 has been about the largest group that any site has brought to the capstone conference. So that's about average. In my site, I try to balance the gender ratio and have as many guys as young ladies. So that's just a little bit on numbers. And then your question about mentoring is great. We are a merged parish community here at Michigan State University. So we have the student center, which is about half a mile from a very traditional type parish with a Catholic elementary school. So what we do is through the course of the summer, I tend to recruit my students at the end of their junior year, right before exams. For some reason they commit to new things right before exams. I don't understand that mindset, but that's how it works. And then over the summer, I get little biographies from them. I ask them what they've been involved in so far in the church, what they hope to be involved in after graduation. For example, a lot of our young men will say, you know, that they were involved in retreats and alternative spring breaks, but like their dads and grandpas, they want to be in the Knights of Columbus, you know, that sort of thing. Some will say that they were involved in alternative spring breaks and are pursuing, you know, nursing or medical school, and they really want to find a way to give back through local medical opportunities or Doctors Without Borders, that sort of thing. So we get those little biographies of their career interests, their majors, and their ecclesial interests, and we publish mini bios in the bulletin all summer. So that way it gives the permanent community or our more mature, experienced lay people, professors, the opportunity to read about the students and see if they might feel inclined to match with them. There are other schools, especially Catholic schools, that don't necessarily have, you know, a lay community associated like you would in a parish. So University of Dayton, for example, sends that information out to local parishes in the Dayton area, hoping to recruit some lay people to be involved and invested in the university students, which again is a great connection to the local community. So those, and then, you know, obviously there's always a few where this year at Michigan State we had, I think, 5 human nutrition pre-physical therapy majors, same major, 5 kids. Now how do you find 5 mentors that are all nutritionists or physical therapists? We kind of did some mentoring by committee on that one. We found a few that were able to, you know, share those gifts and talents. So, you know, you have to be creative, and that's really one thing that we talk about on our site leader conference calls. We have a conference call once a month throughout the academic year, and often site leaders will get new ideas from other site leaders on how to recruit well. Finally, you know, just knowing different people in the community is a great way to tap their gifts and talents for mentoring. So I hope that answers that question.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Mary. Anybody else have any questions? Please raise your hand. If your hand is just to the left of the control panel, vertical panels. Or if you'd like, you can write your question in under the word questions in the panel, and I'll be glad to read it to Katie. Okay, if there are no... Go ahead, Punch. Go ahead, Katie.
Okay. I was just going to mention that while folks are coming up with new questions, the photos that you saw through the course of the presentation are from either the capstone conferences, that convening of young leaders, or from various sites that sent wonderful pictures in the last couple of weeks of their opening retreats, or their you know, pictures with the bishop at a ascending rite, that sort of thing. So those are all active ESTEEM students in those photos.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Okay, well, one question here. Does the application to the ESTEEM partnering happen at a particular time of the year, or can a campus apply at any time? That question is from Diane.
A campus can apply at any time. It does help. So if, for example, if you were certain that you wanted to start the ESTEEM program after Christmas, you know, if you wanted to get a January start, because there are 14 curriculum pieces, you could potentially run the entire program in one semester. If you're on the semester system, the common 15-week system. So if you wanted to get into the application process now and be approved by January and still attend the National Capstone Conference in the spring, that would be certainly possible. The other possibility is to begin the application process now and apply for the beginning of next year. And that way you'll be able to spend all of this year identifying your STEAM participants. That's certainly a possibility. So it really is a rolling application process, just sort of depends on when you want to get started. If you want to get started now, like in October or November, it wouldn't be brutally difficult to fast track an application if it was something you wanted to integrate into your leadership development immediately. That would be something that we could talk about between you and myself and the executive committee.
Great. Thank you, Katie. Mary has a question. Go ahead, Mary.
What time of year is the Capstone Conference?
The Capstone Conference this year will be April 10th through 12th, which is the weekend directly after the ESTEEM, or I'm sorry, Easter, not the ESTEEM Easter, just regular Easter. Everybody's Easter. Well, not quite everybody's Easter, because I guess the different people celebrate Easter differently, so that really is complicated. But April 10 through 12 in Chicago at St. Clement's Parish. There are 3 great hotel options in the area, including a youth hostel that's very inexpensive. We try to create opportunities for our people of varying financial means. And as I said, we do not at this time have a student fee, which is a great opportunity. The program the Capstone Conference tends to be in that sort of post-Easter slot, but of course Easter moves around and so do our semesters, so we kind of have to recalculate every year. Hope that answers your question.
All set, Mary? Okay. Any other questions? Let's see. Okay. All right. I guess we've answered all the questions. And if you all have an opportunity, like I said earlier, we have recorded this session. If you'd like to go back and take a closer look at what Katie had to say about the ESTEEM program. Also on the screen now, you'll notice her contact information for following through to her for the application process. I can tell you we went through the application process here at UMass Dartmouth. It was not a terrible thing to go through, and it really did give us an opportunity to look at overall our program and how we could fit ESTEEM into what we were doing. So, and Katie walked us through every step of the way. So if there's anybody who has that kind of interest, I'd encourage you to contact Katie at your earliest opportunity. And before we do sign off, let's just see if we have any other questions.
This is just a comment from me. I just want to give a special thanks to CCMA for hosting this webinar and all the great resources they're able to provide for campus ministers across the country. It really is a gift to us in campus ministry. So thank you.
And Mary has a question, Katie. So Mary, go ahead.
Thank you. I'm wondering, Katie, do you ever allow guests to come to the conference? For example, as diocesan director in the Diocese of Charlotte, would you allow either myself or some campus ministers from our diocese to attend?
Sure, I think we have done that before. We had Villanova in the program for a few years, and I think they sent sort of an advance committee to check us out. So that is something that we'd be happy to accommodate, certainly.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Any other questions? Comments, suggestions? All right, so thank you, Krista, for your note. And just a reminder from the CCMA there will be a emailing of an evaluation that will be sent out to you in the next few days. It's really helpful to the committee at CCMA who organizes these webinars to plan them in the future. So if you would give us your input as well as future topics that you might be interested, that would be awesome. Krista, I'm going to ask you if you would tell us about the next seminar that's coming up in October. I hope I don't catch you off guard, but I can't get to that screen. I hope you can. Krista, you're open. Oh, did I lose Krista? I'm sorry. I think I lost Krista. But in any case, Katie, we'd like to, on behalf of CCMA, thank you for your presentation today on the ESTEEM program. This will be available, as I said, online through CCMA for any of your any of your partners that you work with at your own campuses, if they'd like to watch the program before contacting Katie. And we'll send the evaluation forms out to you in a day or so. So again, Katie, thank you. Thank ESTEEM for all the good work they're doing, and thank you for your presentation today. And thank you all to you who are joining us, and we hope to see you at the next seminar, which is scheduled for October. And Katie, Krista, are you on?
I am here.
Okay, do you have that information for the October seminar?
I do. The October webinar will be Wednesday, October 15th at 2 p.m. Eastern, and it is going to be about another leadership development model called ASK. And Dee Bernhardt from Purdue will be presenting it, and we hope that you all will come back and join us for that one as well. And thank you, Katie, for a wonderful webinar for the great information, and thank you, Deacon Frank, for putting this all together and putting it out there for us.
All right. Thank you all. Have a great day. Thank you, Katie.
Thank you.